Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is a 2003 Mercedes-Benz E55 AMG, but it's not just any E55. This is my E55. I finally bought one of these cars, and in this video, you're in for a little treat. I'm gonna go over exactly what I paid for this car, what was wrong with it, and how much it cost to fix. We're gonna go through driving impressions and of course some sound clips and other fun stuff. So stay tuned, this is going to be a good one. There you have it, my 2003 Mercedes-Benz E55. For those of you that aren't too familiar with the 211 chassis E55, it was made from 2003 to 2006. It came with 469 horsepower and 516 foot-pounds of torque, all coming from a supercharged V8. At the time, this was a really fast car. It was the fastest production sedan ever made. They ran a mid 12-second quarter mile with 0 to 60 times in the mid to low 4-second range. This car was amazing back then, and today it's one of the best performance bargains on the market. Now, my particular E55 was only a 2-owner car. It had a totally clean title, clean Carfax. The paint was amazing. There was no body work done, no accidents reported, nothing. It was a great car, and I was really excited to go check it out because I had looked at like 4 or 5 of these over the course of a year and had a very hard time finding a clean one. Another reason why it took me so long to find this car was I was looking for some very specific options. I really wanted keyless go, which gives you push button start right on the shifter. It also allows you to keep your key in your pocket and you go right up to the door handles and you press them, they lock and unlock. Another really awesome feature, especially for this time, was dynamic seats. These seats are heated, cooled, massaging, and they have active bolsters which keep you centered when you're taking turns. They actually inflate and deflate to do that. Very neat. Also, and I'm gonna get a lot of crap for this one, I really wanted panoramic sunroof. It's dual sunroofs. I know they're very prone to breaking, and the 4 that I had looked at before this, they all didn't work, but this one worked, so it was an added bonus, and I really like it. Now, of course, I performed my own pre-purchase inspection in the guy's driveway, and he actually put it up on ramps for me, which was really nice. And honestly, I couldn't find all that much wrong with it. Like I said, the paint and bodywork were really, really nice. I was super happy about that, and that was kind of like my main concern. Now, I did find that it had very bent rims. They were cracked, bent. The tires were bad. They needed to go. I also found an oil leak coming from the engine, but it was all over the place, so I couldn't really tell exactly where. The previous owner was asking $10,500. That's a great price in the Chicago market. Now, of course, there's going to be cheaper E55s out there, but this one only had 103,000 miles and was truly clean. Now, of course, I used the car's faults against the owner, and I offered $8,500 for the car. We shook hands at $9,000, and the next day the car was mine. Now, even though I did as good of a pre-purchase inspection as humanly possible in some guy's driveway, it's always going to be more. It's a 14-year-old European car, so I wasn't naive in thinking that's all that it needed. At the time that I bought the car, my turbo Trans Am was in a million pieces with the engine out of it, so I couldn't lift it. Up until recently, that is. After getting the E55 up in the air, these are all the parts that I need to replace on the car. I'm going to start off with the front brake pads. Now, the ones on the car had a ton of life left, but check out that dust. This is after only 1 day of driving, so those definitely had to go. Also, I measured up the front rotors. They're well within spec and not warped. so those will not be replaced. And the rear pads were a little bit low. Might as well replace them while I'm here. Moving on down the table, we have some transmission parts, mainly just some maintenance stuff like a filter, pan gasket, some fluid. I'm going to go a step above and beyond. There's no issues with my transmission, but these parts tend to fail, and they are the conductor plate, the electrical plug, and some Sonax overlap sleeves. Without getting too crazy into the intricacies of the transmission and valve body, this is kind of like a circuit board for the electronics on the valve body. Also, the plug tends to leak on these cars, and it's very inexpensive. With the Sonax sleeves, if you guys are experiencing rough shifting, things of that nature, check them out. They're only 50 bucks and very easy to do with the valve body out. One thing you don't see in this picture is the oil leak was just a valve cover gasket. Got away with murder. Moving along, we have a rear air spring. The original one on the car is 14 years old and it was leaking pretty bad. Check this out. This is only after 8 hours of sitting. Overnight, the car would be completely slammed. These are R-Knot units. They're really, really nice. They are supposed to be replaced in pairs, but the previous owner already did the left rear for me. And what's nice about them is they get rid of the factory reservoir. Alright, there you go. The E55 is all fixed up now. It's running and driving fantastic. Couple things I didn't mention was the previous owner had done all the normal maintenance, synthetic oil change, spark plugs, air filter, the fuel tank with the pumps were replaced under a recall, so it needed basically nothing else. Now, as you've probably already noticed, I do have aftermarket wheels on the car. The ones that I'd spoken about earlier were very bent and cracked. I really couldn't even drive on them, so almost immediately I bought these. They're 19-inch Nietzsche Targa M129s in anthracite gray. I will put all the specs down in the description below. These cost me $15.40. That's mounted, balanced, new wheels, new tires, and lugs installed out the door. It was a fantastic deal. Now, the prices for all the parts that you saw, the total was about $750. So if you don't have a calculator handy, I'm in the $11.3 range for a completely well-sorted, relatively low-mile E55 AMG. Not too bad. So what are my driving impressions of the E55 AMG? Now, I am no stranger to this car. I worked for Mercedes for like 10 years starting in 2003, so I know these cars very well. But this one, and I'll get into this in the next video, is slightly modified, so it's a little bit different than a stock one. Let's go for a ride and I'll show you what this thing is all about. To start with driving impressions, I have to start off with the power. Not only does this car make 469 horsepower, but it makes 516 foot-pounds of torque as well. And that's all because of a root-style supercharger from the factory. It's mounted right on the engine, and it gives you almost instantaneous torque. Mash the gas and it throws you right back in the seats. The dynamic seats, of course, so they inflate as you go back also. The boost is just instant on this car. It is awesome. This car is way too easy to beat on. It is a very comfortable car, so you could be pushing this thing to its limits while your butt's being massaged and cooled. Now, the transmission on the car, although it's very, very strong, it's not that quick at shifting, which is what you want your transmission to do. Now, to demonstrate that, I will now floor it. Jesus. Compared to anything modern in a performance car, it doesn't even come close. There are tunes you can get for that that help out a little bit, but ultimately don't compare this to a newer performance automatic, as it's really nothing close to that. Let's talk handling. Handling is okay on this car. It is over 4,000 pounds. It has Airmatic, which is air suspension, but they give you 3 modes to choose from, 2 sport modes and a comfort mode. I typically drive around in comfort, and even with the 19s, it's not really all that harsh, but it's also not a cloud either. It is a performance sedan. Another very important aspect of the E55 and what makes it so desirable, especially for a person like myself, is you can make these things way faster than stock. It's factory supercharged, so you can mess around with the amount of boost that the car produces by changing out the supercharger pulley or even putting a larger crank pulley on it. It is water to air intercooled, so there's a ton of upgrades available for that. Exhaust, different intakes, tunes, and whatnot. Basically, the aftermarket support for this car is absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for watching. What do you think of the E55? Comment down below. If you're new to the channel, this is a car channel. I do videos like this, racing videos, dyno videos, DIYs, builds, you name it, it is right here. To all my current subscribers, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I will link an article down below in the description on altdriver.com if you guys want to learn a little bit more about my E55. As always, thank you so much. Have a wonderful day, and I will see you in the next video.